Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah Wisted. Today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 13 real ways to make your home feel more expensive. Journey for a few years now on YouTube and Instagram, and I quite often get comments from you guys asking me how I have created such a home that feels so calming and so put together. I also get questions like that ask me how I keep it so clean. So I'm going to be sharing with you just tips that I've picked up over the years and things that I've noticed when I'm looking and researching for different projects that I have in mind. And I found 13 of them that I feel like are really easy. A few of them are very quick that you could do with just items that you have around your house. A few of them are a little bit more, I would say, you might need to make a little bit of an investment for these, but it's really just to get you thinking a little bit more outside the box than your everyday norm. So let's just jump right in and start with the first one. So tip number one is going to be make an impact with paint. This one is pretty straightforward, you guys. I feel like any video that you watch that covers ways to make your home feel more expensive, paint is always going to be in there, and the reason is because it is such an easy fix that makes such a dramatic change in your house. Just adding a fresh coat of paint to your room can truly do wonders. It can make the space feel clean, feel open, feel airy, that kind of thing. But you can also make an impact with it in terms of you don't have to go all white. I know a preference and more of a trendy thing to do today is to have an all-white house, but the reason for the all-white house these days is because it allows your decor to do more of the talking. It's kind of like a blank canvas, and everything within the room gets to kind of stand out and play off each other. Or if you're like me, on the more modern minimal side of home decor aesthetic, which is what I consider myself, I just love the calming nature of lots of lighter neutral colors. So that's why I went with the all white. But you can also go completely dark. I think that's a really cool look as well. I know there are some rooms that Athena Calderon has put together over on her Instagram account, iSpoon, that are just stunningly beautiful in like a dark blue navy color. Talking in terms of my preference on how to do it, so more of the detail oriented on what I view as making a room feel more expensive. I really love, and again, this is my preference, this is no right or wrong, this is just like how I view it. But I really love when the trim and the molding, like the crown molding and the walls all match those same color, and it's just tone on tone. And the reason I like that is because, in my opinion, I want the crown and all the details to kind of blend in together. I like that there's that texture and the balance there, but I don't really want it to stand out. One of the themes that you'll probably find in my idea of an aesthetic is less switch up between colors, and so that your eye doesn't have to switch between light and dark and just like a lot of different distractions around. So I try to create a more like calm, less switch up that your eye has to go throughout the home. So that's kind of like the theme that you'll get with me. And part of that is matching the trim with the wall color. Another example of where you can use paint to make an impact is what we did in our front door space. When we purchased the house, the front door was painted one dark color, and the surround, like the windows that go up above the door, were painted white. So it was the same color as the wall. But what we did instead is when we painted the door black, we also painted the trim and the windows around it. So instead of a small, like shorter front door, it now looks like a grand, massive front door. And it just makes an impact in our entryway, and I think it looks really nice. So if you think about doors in your house or just any other application of this idea of just bringing the paint up around the space, I think could be really cool and make your home look a little bit more expensive. Okay, so tip number two is to invest in quality bedding. Before we get into the details of this tip, I just want to quickly introduce today's video sponsor, which is Lily Silk. So thank you, Lily Silk, for sponsoring today's video. If you guys have followed me for a while, I have partnered with Lily Silk in the past, and I of course accepted another partnership because I do believe that their product is of high quality. We have recently just switched out our bedding to Lily Silk's silk bed sheets. So we have the fitted sheet, and then we also got the pillowcases. I did stick with white because one of the bedding tips that I'll bring up is that I just prefer white bedding. I just feel like it feels luxurious, it feels expensive, if you go to a nice hotel, like a resort or something like that, they typically have white bedding just because it just feels clean. There's just something about white bedding. So I did go with the white silk sheets from Lily Silk, and if you haven't felt their product before, it is super soft, super smooth. One thing about Lily Silk that I think is really cool is that they pride themselves on taking silk to the next level. So one of the things that they mention is not all silk is created equal, which is very true. And theirs is 100% natural mulberry silk, which has so many health benefits, including benefits for your hair, benefits for your skin, and also benefits for sleeping. So it's moisture wicking and breathable, so it does promote a better night's sleep. Also naturally hypoallergenic, so if you're somebody who has allergies as a problem, that's a great option for you. And then like I mentioned, there's so many skin benefits as well. It prevents and reduces fine lines and wrinkles. I notice the difference when I sleep on a silk pillowcase versus my linen sheet. In addition to bedding, they also have other silk products on their website, such as pajamas. They have silk shirts, which are absolutely stunning. And they also have sweaters, which I'm actually wearing one of their sweaters right now. This one is a really comfortable sweater, you guys. It's like lighter weight, so it's perfect transition between like the winter and the springtime. You can throw it on with shorts, or I have pants on right now, but it's very, very comfortable and it's lightweight, so I feel like it's just like a good, honestly, all year round knit. As always, I have a promo code for you guys, which I will leave in the description box down below. I will also link the bed sheets, the pillowcases, and the sweater that I have on today. So if you're interested in any of those links will be down below as well. But as always, feel free to ask me any questions. I have been a huge fan of Lily Silk for a while now. I've been wearing their products for a few years, and they are still standing up to the test of time. So yeah, definitely a huge fan of Lily Silk, and go ahead and check out their products in the link below. Okay, so back to the tips on investing in quality bedding. I will say the number one tip in this category is to invest in a really good duvet insert. I cannot even stress enough how much this will transform your bedrooms. It'll make your beds feel more comfortable, more luxurious, more welcoming, especially for your guests who are coming and traveling and wanting to stay with you. I will say that a really nice duvet insert tends to be a little bit more of an investment, so kind of keep that in mind. But I have heard of tricks that interior designers have shared that you can stuff 2 inserts into one duvet, and it makes it look fluffy and makes it look more expensive. Other tips that you can use to make your beds look more expensive is to layer different blankets of different textures. On our bed, we just have the sheets, the duvet, and then a throw kind of on top. You can even put a quilt underneath the duvet. You can layer that. You can layer 2 different blankets on top. Like, it's really up to you, but the more you layer, the more like filled in and luxurious it feels. And like I said, different textures helps to break it up a little bit and makes it look a little bit more cozy, especially if you're using like wool or knit textures. The next tip is to go sleek on design. This quote always comes to mind when I talk about this concept, and it's that simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. And what I mean by that is the more simple that you can make your space, the more elevated that it can feel, within reason. I mean, you have to add a little bit of uniqueness and a little bit of your own style to it to take it up that extra notch. But I would say for your main foundational pieces, my preference and what I've seen in most homes and just places that look very expensive is they keep everything really simple. They keep their foundational pieces with clean lines, muted colors, just not a lot of distraction going on, and it's always usually like a well-balanced symmetry. It doesn't have to be completely symmetrical, but even the asymmetrical is completely balanced. So just thinking back to that, what you want to avoid is a lot of patterns, a lot of trendy colors, for example. And I'm not saying not to go crazy and be able to do your own design and be yourself within that. It's just a little bit harder to do and get away with and make it look very expensive for a long-term period than if you were to stick with a more simple, clean, sophisticated foundation. Another quick tip is to make sure that all your pieces aren't too trendy. There are sometimes I see rooms where all of the it pieces are in one room and it starts to feel a little bit cheap very quickly. So as long you can have some of the trendier items, have some of those pieces that are like all over Instagram and Pinterest, but maybe balance it out with something that's a little bit more classic as the foundational piece. The next tip is to lean into blank space. So what I mean by this is just give your rooms some space to breathe. So if you think about any high-end luxury resort, or even like those high-end luxury homes that you see like on Architectural Digest, anytime you refer back to any of these higher end, I guess, spaces, they always have a lot of blank space or just room to breathe. It doesn't feel crowded, it doesn't feel cramped in these homes. It's just a lot of open space. When your eye is scanning the room and there's furniture in every single place on the floor and there's stuff on every single place on the wall, it's just a lot. And I'm not saying that it can't be styled correctly and you can have that in your home, but in terms of like a modern, minimal, more relaxed aesthetic, having some blank space can really do a lot for your space, and it can really feel more comforting, more elevated, more luxurious. So a few tips that you can use in your home is just pull some of the furniture away from the wall. Everything doesn't have to be lining the wall. You can add some space behind the furniture. You can also take some things down off the wall. You don't have to have every single white blank space of wall covered. You don't have to go as extreme as I do. I don't love a lot of stuff on the wall. We are still adding stuff to the wall, so don't come at me for that. But don't be afraid to take some things down, create some space, some openness. Lean into the blank space because it really does create room to breathe and a little bit more calming sensation, which is where you find what you find in the more expensive, higher end luxury homes or resorts. This next tip is to remove the visually distracting. This one kind of ties back into the one right before this, which is lean into blank space. But what I mean by remove the visually distracting is just remove the clutter. Get all the stuff off the counters, off your coffee tables, off your shelves, put them in storage containers, into your cabinets, into your drawers. You don't need just to have all this stuff around because it is, like I mentioned, when your eye's scanning the room, just a lot that your eye has to see and take in, and the less of that you can get off and into cabinets, the more calming, relaxed, and elevated your space will look. If you walk into a really nicely designed home, you'll notice that there's not a lot of clutter happening. It's hidden. I will say baskets are great, the open top baskets, if you want to use those, but my preference is actually finding a basket with a closed top. Because if you put it in an open top basket, you'll still see the stuff that's inside the basket. So if you want to take it that extra mile, just get one that has a closed top. An example of that would be our baby girl. She has a bunch of toys, and we want her to have toys, obviously, because she's a baby and they play. But we want to have a solution that we can put her toys up at the end of the day without having to fully put them somewhere and bring them back out each day. So what we did is we found this closed top basket chest from Zara Home. So at the end of every day, we just throw all her toys back in this chest, close the top, and it's like it's not even there. It just blends into the decor, and yeah, you're good to go. Otherwise, if you have it in an open top basket, then you're still seeing inside to all the different colors, all the different little items within the basket, which is better than nothing, but it's still, you know, not completely elevated, and it doesn't feel as expensive as one that's just completely out of sight. The next tip is to bring a unique element into every room. So to explain this tip a little bit better, I'm going to give you the opposite of what I mean first, so that you can see kind of what I mean when I say bring something unique. So what I don't mean is, for example, if you go to a store and you just buy everything that's on that store display and then just plop it into your room as if you went to that store, picked it up, and put it into your room. That does not look expensive. And I'll give you the example of just like going to Target, buying everything from the Studio McGee collection and putting all of that in your living room. I love the Studio McGee collection at Target. I love Target. I have nothing against any of those items or Target or anything. But what I don't love is seeing the exact display in someone's room. I understand they do it to make it easy for you to pick and choose, but what I am encouraging you guys to do to make your home look more expensive is to, sure, pick out a few things from the Studio McGee collection at Target, but then balance it out with some things that are a little bit unique. maybe you found something at a vintage shop, or maybe you went onto Etsy and you found something, just to balance it out just a little bit, so that it's not like everyone has the same living room, if that makes sense. Just try and find pieces that I can mix in with the mass-produced, with maybe a higher end piece, and then maybe a vintage piece. I feel like if you can like add different elements like that to a room, then that's how you can make your room feel more expensive without necessarily having to spend too much money. Some things might be kind of an investment, but if you're a really good thrifter, antiquer, you probably can find things at a really good price. The next tip is to add character via architecture. This tip could be a little bit more of an investment because you're actually talking about changing the architecture of your home, but I really just want to get you guys thinking a little bit bigger than just switching up the decor items in your home. So what I mean by adding character via architecture is, for example, taking the wood that you have on your floor, like up onto the walls, onto the ceiling, just like making it a little bit more of a statement, if that makes sense, versus like just having it on your floors, for example. You could also add curves to your staircase and make it a visually beautiful like curve on your staircase would be really cool. I've seen places who've added really cool like wall molding into the wall, which I think is a beautiful way to add a little bit of character. I also saw this girl on Instagram, I can't think of her name. Our House on Powell. I'll have to double check that. I saw her DIY adding an archway to one of her cased openings. So just changing up the cased opening, like that was such a good idea to make such a huge impact in your home via the architecture. Anytime you're changing the architecture, it can be kind of an investment, but if you do it the right way, it can really make an impact in your home and make your home feel more expensive and unique for that matter, which is kind of what we're going for here. The next tip is to take care of your stuff. This one I've been on like a huge kick lately, and it's just to take care of your stuff, you guys. Like, you've invested this money and time and energy in getting your home the way you want it. You just need to take care of it from here on out. I actually heard it on a cleaning Instagram account recently where she was like just talking about how to clean different things, and she just randomly said like, take care of your stuff, and that just like rang to me. So now I've been doing things like debobbling the couch, which is essentially shaving the couch. So you know the little pills that you get on your couch, you just buy a little shaver, which is like $15 on Amazon, like not a big investment at all. Shave it down, the couch looks brand new. And you can do, I mean, you have to keep up with it. It's not something you can just do once and you're done. But it's just one of those things, like just something so simple as taking care of your stuff can make your home feel so much more expensive. I am looking into a cleaning lady because I will say, keeping floors clean is like the bane of my existence. It is so hard to do. I feel like you're constantly having to clean them, especially like with the dog, and now we have a baby, so it's just a lot to keep clean. But I will say, just keeping things clean, picked up, organized really does make a huge difference when people come into your home. I will say, people ask me all the time, like on Instagram and in real life, how do you keep your home so clean? Or they just always make comments on how we keep our home so clean. And I will say, like, I'm not the best at like physically cleaning my house, which is why I need to hire someone. But I do keep everything picked up, and it's just not just me. My husband is also on board with that. We're both Libras, if that means anything to you. But we like things nice, and so we like to keep our house picked up and cleaned. So what we've kind of done over the years, this isn't anything we've talked about, we just do this now, is every single day we pick up the certain areas that we are in. So for example, at the end of the day, I know that we need to clean the kitchen. So after dinner, we clean the entire kitchen, we do all the dishes, put them in the dishwasher, whatever needs to happen, and that's it. That's our time to clean the kitchen and reset it, if you will. We also reset our living room every morning. So we put the pillows back where they need to be, we throw the blanket how we want it, we pick up all of Shay's toys and put it in her toy chest. It's just one of those things that it really doesn't take that long. It takes probably 5 minutes in the morning, but it does make a huge difference on how you perceive your own house and how like clean and like comforting it is, and how others perceive your house when they come in because it's picked up. Like I said, this one's a little bit easier said than done because I understand time, especially those of you who have multiple kids or just a lot going on in your lives, I get that. But if you want your house to feel more expensive, you have to invest that time to clean and take care of your stuff. The next few tips are a little bit more quick tips. They're also things that you can do relatively quickly in your home, and you might already have these items in your home to do. So this next tip is to move your curtains up to the ceiling. So what I mean by that is sometimes when you go into homes, you'll notice that the traditional way to hang a curtain is right above the windowsill. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. I mean, that's what they're for, is just to cover the windows. But if you want your home to feel more expensive and you want it to feel more elevated, moving the curtains from the windowsill up to the ceiling makes a huge difference. It makes your room look so much taller, so much more grand than if you were to have them right above the windowsill. My preference is to put them actually on the ceiling. I actually did a whole video on this, but we used the IKEA Vidga curtain track system where we actually installed the track on the ceiling and have little sliders. The reason I love the curtain track on the ceiling is because it blends in and you don't have to have that visual distraction of the curtain rod. I don't love curtain rods. I know that's such a weird thing to not love. I just don't love them. I feel like there's no need to see some dark piece of rod just like above your windowsill. That's just a personal thing, like I said. So that's why we went with the white one on the ceiling. But I will say in our dining room, we can't do a curtain track because the crown molding kind of goes out a little too far on the ceiling. So instead we did have the curtain rod there, and we just moved it up to right below the crown molding. So it's as tall as we can get it. It makes that room look so tall. I actually do get questions all the time how tall my ceilings are when I'm in there, and it's just because the curtain rod is all the way as close to the crown molding as you can get it, and it just makes that room look very impactful. The next quick tip is to add nicer planters to your faux trees or greenery. This tip is so easy and makes such a huge impact. I will say, to start off this tip, I don't love faux greenery or faux trees. I do have them. I have this olive tree back here, and I have one up in my daughter's room. They're so convenient because number one, you can't kill them, so you don't have to remember watering or whatever, but also there's no bugs that potentially could be invited into the tree area. They are convenient, and I get having them. If you have a faux tree and you want to make it look more expensive, then I would highly recommend adding your own planter, or just like an oversized, unique planter. And the reason I'm saying oversized is typically when you buy a faux tree, it comes with kind of like a smaller, like understated planter, which is fine. I have the one from Studio McGee collection at Target. It has a pretty cute planter. It's just small, right? So what I did instead is I went to my local gardening store and found this oversized planter that was the size and the shape that I wanted, and I wanted to paint it the same color as the wall, so I actually did use the paint and baking soda technique to keep the texture a little bit textured. It already did have a little bit of texture because it is a concrete planter, but I just painted it the color that I wanted, and I put my Studio McGee tree on. There's like a platform inside to make it raised up so that the top of the tree is at the top of the planter, or I'm sorry, the bottom of the tree is at the top of the planter. And it makes it look taller, and it makes it look more substantial. So if you want to make your home feel more expensive, it's definitely to add oversized and unique planters, because it also makes the tree look a little bit more unique because it doesn't have the same base as everyone else who has that same tree from Target. The next quick tip is to add fresh greenery or fresh flowers. You guys knew that I would add this one in here because I add it into all videos that I have like tips and tricks on. But I love fresh greenery and fresh flowers. I realize that it's not the most practical way to make your home feel more expensive because they do die, but it really does make a huge impact. So if you think of any interior designer or decorator for any like formal photo shoot that they have, or maybe they even have just like a casual Instagram post, or just having friends and family over for dinner, they will always have fresh greenery or fresh flowers on the table, over in the corner, just somewhere in their home. There's some sort of fresh flower situation going on. And the reason for that is because it just feels more elevated. It feels more lived in. It feels more I don't want to call it formal, but it is a little bit formal. It just feels a little bit more exciting to have these fresh new flowers in, and they bring a lot of people joy. So like I said, it's not the most practical tip, but I promise you, if you want to make an impact with your home, maybe you're hosting for a party or whatever it is, just bringing in fresh flowers makes a huge difference. The next tip is to add an element of scent to your home. Scent is one of the 5 senses, and it really does completely transform your experience within a space when you have that element of scent playing in. So if you think about like grandma's house when the cookies were being baked, like that is an element of scent, and it makes you feel like home and cozy. Or if you've been to, for example, the one hotel in South Beach, they have a signature scent, which they actually now sell in candles. But you walk in and it gives you that feeling of luxury and elevated. Also, like spas, they always have some sort of eucalyptus or lavender, just some sort of like fresh, clean scent. So what I mean by scent into your home is have some sort of candle, or you can have a diffuser. My husband and I just bought a diffuser on Amazon for like, I don't even know how much it was, I'll link it below, but we've been using it, and it does change your experience within your home. It just makes your home feel more clean, more elevated, and there's just nothing worse than walking into a home and it feeling like musty or smelling a little bit dingy or something like that. So if you want to elevate your home and feel more expensive, I highly encourage you to invest in either a diffuser or candles or something that just makes your home smell a little bit better. The last and final tip is to invest in good lighting. Nothing sets the mood more than lighting. Nothing can transform your space more than intentionally placed lighting and having the correct light bulbs within the space that you're trying to light. Lighting can transform the height and depth in your space, which adds a ton of dimension to the space in your home, which makes it feel more expensive. This includes where your lights are placed, what fixtures you have, and also the bulbs that you use. All 3 of those things really are important to getting the lighting correct in your house. It's kind of funny, I actually don't know that much about lighting. My husband's kind of more a lighting fanatic than I am, but I do agree that it makes a huge difference in the space. There's actually a full profession of lighting consultants, so if you need help with lighting, I'm sure those people would be more than happy to help you, or I'm sure there's things that you can Google or on YouTube that can help with lighting. But there's no wonder why when people buy a house, the first thing you want to do is change out all the light bulbs and change out all the fixtures. That's like the first step to getting your house to feel more like a home. And there truly is nothing worse than that bright fluorescent LED lighting, like hospital lighting as we call it. Nothing worse than that. So if you have the opposite of that, which is just a more relaxed and calming light situation, or depending on the room that you're in, it could be a lighter, brighter daytime kind of light, it really does transform how that space is used or how that space is viewed. For the evenings, it's really nice to be able to turn off overhead lights and use lamps and sconces for your light. It's like a low light, just set the mood kind of vibe. Don't forget exterior lighting as well. Exterior lighting can completely transform your home also and make it feel more expensive and look more luxurious. All right, you guys, so that was it for my 13 tips on how to make your home look more expensive. Definitely let me know what your favorite tip was down below. You can also tag me on Instagram with what your favorite tip was from today's video or ways that you're making changes in your home, and I will be sure to repost you. If you liked this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I do lots of videos on modern minimal. I'm now adding organic to the end of that, so modern minimal organic home decor, and also some fashion and then some vlogs as well. So yeah, I really appreciate your support on this video, and I'm sure I will look for you guys on my next video.